meeting of order. We have a quorum. Accommodations are met. Mr. Mack, would you lead us in the word of prayer, please?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we just want to come to you tonight, Lord, with bowed head and grateful hearts, Lord. We just pray that each day that we might try to be more like you, Lord. We know that up here that it gets to be a sort of stressful job sometimes, Lord, but I just pray that we'll all ask you what would you do, every situation, every question, not only up here on this board, but when we're out in the public, Lord, we'd ask, what would you do, Lord? And we just pray that we might be more like you each day. We might be kind and compassionate and forgiving, Lord. And we just thank you for being able here to represent this county. And we just pray now that everything we do and say would be according to your will, and just pray that you might protect those, Lord, that's on foreign fields, Lord, fighting and giving their lives for our freedom. And just pray now that you forgive us where we fail you. We ask this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Stand with me as we pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Gaines? Commissioner Sutton?
Here.
Chairman Cosby?
Here.
Commissioner Bozeman? Here. Commissioner McDonald?
Present.
Attorney Miller?
Present.
I'd like to welcome you all to the meeting tonight. Does everyone have an agenda? Are there any correct?
I need to add something to mine. The gentleman sitting there with oxygen tank, he's had a serious problem. I have tried to work with animal control and also with a stand over at his office, and he's critically sick. He's having a very serious situation out there by a fellow. We'll give the name later. I'd like to add that on under my time.
Okay, is this under animal control or?
I have contacted animal control and he had parcel did code enforcement. What's your name, sir?
Richard Sands.
Okay.
What was that last name, Mr. Richards?
Sands, S-A-N-D-S.
Okay.
We tried to talk on the cell phone day one of them in the tractor running full speed, and it was hard. It was I understand everything. But he's here tonight, fine.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, under my time. I didn't have it.
Mr. Joe, did you say you had something?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have personnel consideration in that.
Okay. We have a motion to accept these changes to the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the first item on our agenda tonight is the approval of minutes from April 18th, April 23rd, May 7th, regular meeting, and May 9th. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve April 23rd, 7th, May 7th, May 9th. Not through with the 18th yet.
Okay, so both May 7th numbers are budget part of the May 7th meeting was a budget meeting on the end of the regular meeting. Ms. Billy, did you say you hadn't had a chance to read them all yet?
Got these minutes.
Mr. Mack, did you get a chance to read all these?
No, I haven't. Sure have.
Okay, we'll table these minutes for the next meeting, June 2nd, I believe. 4th, excuse me. second for me to get the minutes.
Yes, considering that the board has not been able to read all of them, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I can get out here in the doorway. I can sit in the doorway.
First item on our agenda is Mr. Craig Moy, representing Malden and Jenkins CPA firm. Ms. Wigg, did you hand out those documents?
Good evening. My name is Craig Moy. I'm a manager with Malden Jenkins from Albany, Georgia. Primarily focus a lot of my attention auditing municipalities, cities, government, counties, authorities. We were approached back in March by the commission with some concerns on certain items that they wanted to look into. From there, we agreed to do what we call an agreed upon procedures engagement. This engagement is not an audit. We are not opining on the financial condition of the county. We did not do a review of your internal controls or any other items that are typically encompassed in an audit. Our procedures were limited to those that the commission board asked us to perform. The procedures were conducted in accordance with attestation standards established by the AICPA. However, we make no representation regarding the sufficiency of the procedures. These procedures were asked to be performed by the board. The report or review included 3 items. We looked into some personnel files. We looked into the solid waste department, and then we looked into the fiscal year 13 budget. Our procedures were limited to those. I really don't like going through and reading this detail for detail, but the report is what we did, so I apologize for reading directly from the paper. First was the personnel concerns. We randomly selected 25 employees from the payroll reports from the period of January 1st, 2011 through December 31st, 2012. We obtained an employee personnel file and performed the following procedures. We agreed the pay rate identified in the December 21st, 2012 payroll report to the approved pay rate documented in the employee file. For any individuals that were not employed by the county for that December 21st, 2012 pay period, the employee's last pay period was used. The results of our test, we noted 3 instances in which there were no documentation in the employee personnel file for the change in compensation. We noted 4 instances in which the employee personnel file was not updated for the cost of living adjustment that was given to all employees as of July 1, 2011. We noted 3 instances related to poll workers in which the employee personnel file did not include an approved pay rate. We noted that the employee personnel file does provide an area to keep up and maintain the changes in the pay rates. However, these have not been updated since 2009. Second step, we verified that the changes in compensation were properly approved. We did this through a review of the board minutes. I would like to say that your board minutes provide detailed information about pay rate changes and status changes, and it provided an abundance of information. During our review, we noted 3 instances in which there was no approval documented in the board minutes for the change in compensation. Additionally, we reviewed the budget worksheets for the fiscal year end 2011 to determine if the changes in compensation were indirectly approved as part of that budgeting process. We were unable to identify that those changes in compensations were included in that budget. We noted 5 instances in which the employee personnel file did not contain documentation supporting the approval of the change in compensation. Lastly, we noted 8 instances in which the new hire or status change of an employee was documented in the board minutes. However, an applicable wage rate was not identified in the board minutes. Next, we recalculated the cost of living adjustments and/or verified approval in the employee personnel file of any changes in compensation identified during our review of that payroll detail. We noted 3 instances in which the change in compensation was in excess of the cost of living adjustment given to employees as of July 1st, 2011. Additionally, we noted that there was no documentation included in the employee file to support the excess change. Last procedure we performed related to the employees, where we verified the employee personnel file included all completed forms, personnel forms that are deemed required by the county. We noted 69 instances in which the required forms were not included in the employee personnel file. The next step that we did was related to the county commissioners. We obtained the employee personnel files for all current and former county commissioners and verified that the salaries were being properly calculated based on the Association of the County Commissioners of Georgia's standard for computing county official salaries. This document is released annually and is available on their website. We noted during our review that none of the salaries for the commissioners were being properly calculated in accordance with ACCG standards, except for those commissioners whose terms did begin January 1st, 2013. We noted 3 instances in which county commissioners were being overpaid and 1 instance in which a commissioner was being underpaid. We identified 1 commissioner for which we were unable to verify payment of compensation through our review of the payroll detail. Upon further research, we were able to determine that the commissioner's compensation is being paid through the accounts payable process. The ACCG refers to the compensation of county commissioners as a salary. And according to Title 26, Code Section 21 of the Internal Revenue Code, gross income is defined as compensation for services including fees, commissions, fringe benefits, and similar items. Next step, we review the payroll detail, identify the pay rates for all current and former county commissioners, and verify the pay rate agreed with the personnel file. Although we noted in step 2 that the salaries were being incorrectly calculated, the pay rates identified in the payroll detail agreed with the pay rates identified in the personnel files, except for the commissioner that is being paid through the accounts payable process due to us not being able to identify the commissioner in the payroll detail. Next, we started into the solid waste department. Our procedures were limited to compiling information related to the solid waste department only. We only used the information obtained directly from the county's accounting system. Items number 4, 5, and 6. There is an attached on the last page summary schedule of the solid waste billings, receipts, and expenses. Again, this information was obtained directly from the county's system. Our procedures were limited to separating it into a monthly schedule and providing that information to you. Lastly, our last step had to do with the fiscal year 13 budget. Using the budget worksheets for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2013, we identified all individual budget items that were outside the normal course of the operating expenditures for each department. In there, we identified 12 items that were considered expenditures outside the normal operating costs of the department. All items we identified were supported by budget requisitions in the budget worksheets of each department. Our next step was we were asked to determine if those items in step 7 were included in the county's final approved budget for the fiscal year 2013. All items we identified were properly included in that final budget. Lastly, we were asked to determine if the expenditures for those items had occurred through the end of our, and I hazard to say field work, but it was field work. And we noted that 4 of those items had actually been purchased as of March 31st, 2013. Now, there's a lot of information that was just given to you. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Once you go to solid waste,
Yes, ma'am.
your first column is what?
January 11th.
You got solid waste $97,010.
That is the solid waste charges that were billed in January of 2011.
Finance charges $17,941.05.
Yes, ma'am.
$114,951.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come down in the next column, solid waste receipts
Yes, ma'am.
at $95,679.21.
Mm-hmm.
Solid waste expenses. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're showing a loss of $113,449.52.
Yes, ma'am.
On the next, February, then you're showing a net gain of $21,159.98.
Yes, ma'am.
March, you're showing a loss of $42,849.60.
Yes, ma'am.
In April, you're showing a gain of $70,016.52.
Yes, ma'am.
And then in May, you're showing a loss of $121,954.
Yes, ma'am.
Before I go any further, I want you to explain that loss to me.
My procedures were limited to obtaining the information directly from your computer system and compiling it into this schedule. I did not look into why it did what it did. That would be more along the lines of an audit.
Like bad debt.
No, ma'am. It doesn't. Again, my procedures were limited to compiling the information directly from your computer system. I did not perform any additional procedures to determine the nature of the loss or the details of what made up the loss. All I was asked to do was to compile the information from your system. An audit would encompass more of the detailed tests and the explanations as to why those numbers are what they are.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand how in April we got expenses of $6,356.51, and in June, or whether May, you're showing $208,770.
Could be a timing issue with your system. Could be that the expenses were recorded in the wrong period. Could have been some journal entries that went back and forth to it. Again, that information was obtained directly from your system. I separated it by the date, the transaction date, and compiled that schedule in front.
Based on what I see, there's some major problems in solid waste.
That is for you to determine. I'm limited to providing you the schedule.
bottom is $992,000 in losses. That's a pretty good amount of money.
You know, what I wanna know is the losses of bad debt that is not collected. Because anybody runs accounts receivable, I mean, you're gonna have bad debt, I don't care what you say.
This is not, without getting into, I'm really limited at what I can tell you. I can tell you that it's not bad debt. It's the operating expenses of that department versus the actual cash collections of that department is creating that loss. This is not an accrual-based schedule. It's pulled directly from your system. It's not adjusted for receivables and bad debt. It's not accrued. It is a cash basis.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The inquiry of the candidate. As I understood what he said, Mr. Chairman, the question, answer your question, he cannot do. He said he just collected figures, and he couldn't tell you why they were that way. And that's going to require further inquiry by the Board of Commissioners itself, and looking into his contract, what his costs are, to see if that payments have been scheduled according to the contracts, and to see what billings were done and what collections were made against those billings. So that requires some homework by the commission that this accountant was not charged with doing. He told you to start with, he didn't tell you the why it was that way. He just showed you some figures. And what the problems are off of this commission to determine. He didn't determine what the problems are.
I have a cost here for March 27, 13 on a total billed amount of $1.202 million. And then $646,619 of billed fees, $555,000 of billed past due fees. Total $1.202 million. I just had one pulled on May 13 and showed $1.326 million. So it's risen by almost $100,000 just in a couple of months. So it's $33,054.55 current. That's $88,960 since 30 days past due. $773,937.47 to 60 days past due. And $1.196 million is 90 days past due. That's a total of $1.326 million.
Mr. Chairman, I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Does this include the commercial customers,
Everybody.
the Sylvester residents, the landfill fees, the ward residents? That includes all of these?
Everything that was in the solid waste.
And landfill late charges?
I'd have to go back and look at the details. But if it was identified as being related to the solid waste department, yes, ma'am, we included it in the schedule.
Okay, I got the April, no, this is March. The landfill late charges, we had budgeted out last year $200,000. She had already collected $226,786.63 in March.
Okay. My schedule is limited to December 2012.
Went all the way to third time, to March.
You know what I mean?
Still, that would have been part of his favor right there.
On the accrual basis, yes, ma'am, it would.
I have one more question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
basically what this data shows is simply on a cash basis that much more money was paid out for expenses of the department than cash income received for that department. Is that basically what the information is?
Yes, sir. That's the appearance of the information.
Thank you. That's what I thought.
I do want to thank the staff. You guys have a great group that are working with you. They were able to pull the information that I needed immediately and helped out tremendously in obtaining all the information. Further questions?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Holder. As we move along with our agenda, Mr. Dent.
Good evening. See, the air conditioner's still not working. I really probably need to defer to a later meeting because I've got some questions about the information just given out. I've got information here that came directly off the March Worth County financial statement. It does not agree with what he says at all. I don't understand why. I guess more detail needs to be put into it. But this is off of the financial statement. It says that we had income through March of 2013 of $1,294,107 and expenses during that same period of time of $972,757. Now that's a world of difference. Now, we've always used a cash basis. That's always been. Now, John and them always at the end of the year, this is not the way they've been budgeted, but the way they had us do is we had to write off bad debts. Right. We assumed about an 80% collection rate. You never collect 100%. So it never was budgeted at 100%. But at the end of the year, when they did the audit, we had to go back and count that as bad debts. I don't know if that's part of it or what it is, but there's some serious questions to be raised on garbage. And like I say, these figures came directly off Worth County's financial statements, including the medical services contract for waste, computer maintenance, telephone, postage, everything associated with expenses out there. And then the income includes a commercial landfill, Sylvester residential landfill, county residential landfill, Warwick landfill, and late charges, like the bid said, $229,000 with the late charge. But it raises some questions, and I think y'all need to get into the bottom of it. I'd like to see it myself, because, like I say, what's on the Worth County financial report and what he said does not jive. Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Freeman, it was not jive.
Well, as I stated, I have the May 13th ruled off by solid waste, and it shows 1.326 million past due billing. So, you know, we need to dig deeper, as Fred said. We need to dig deeper in the well and see what the problem might be. But there's obviously a problem somewhere. Okay, as we move forward on the agenda, on the new business, the ACCG Health Promotion and Wellness Program 22 grant qualifications application. This is something, I guess, that y'all did last year. Is that right?
It's been ongoing, yes, sir.
Years. Okay.
Make the motion.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. Continuing, Georgia Department of Transportation Bridge Inspection and Inventory Notification. They're notifying that the bridge over Horse Creek, County Road 160, has been deleted from their inventory. And it's now the responsibility of our county to maintain that bridge. This is dated May 13, 2013.
This bridge has been closed since 2007.
We just got it May 13.
What road was that on, Mr. Chairman?
That's on the Evergreen Road. It's over Horse Creek. It's exactly sure where Horse Creek is, and I live over that direction.
It crosses 33, about 7 miles out of town, south 33.
Okay.
That's the route it has there.
Okay.
It also crosses 33 highway.
That's what it says.
And let's see, it crosses Caneyville Road from south to Caney. And it runs right through the middle of one of my lawns.
It starts just the other side of Sylvester out on 112. Part y'all talking about closes the dirt part of Evergreen Highway, just west of 112.
All we have to do is acknowledge this.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, all right. Continuing on, we have a contract here, Georgia Department, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, renewing their contract with our building out here on Highway 82.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a little confused on that. This was a lease purchase deal, and this purchase should occur next year.
Well, I was reading this, it said under Article 2, it says the rental agreement granted the tenant the option to extend its occupancy on a year-to-year basis for 15 consecutive years.
I mean, I'll take the money for the county.
Oh, yeah, we will too. It says on 15 years at $3,500 a year, which sounds like me it's a deal on that big building.
And how much?
$3,500, what it says on here.
More than they pay us? I mean, that's less than they pay us now. Mr. Miller needs to look at that, they may be trying to get us to do some updates out there.
I don't know, I don't recall all the details, I haven't read it since it was drafted, read it, adopted, but at the time, it was very favorable to the county,
It was.
very favorable to the county.
But the lease run on the lease purchase, 2024. They pay us $10 and they put it there, that's what I understand.
Yeah. It
Well,
says
one of the things is they have changed, the state has changed its method of accounting for state properties, and it may very well be that there's something amiss that had been added into one of their computers, I'm not sure. But I'll be glad to review that contract and see what the contract provides for.
Okay. All right, Mr. Miller, if you'll do that, report back to us on the forward.
I assume we have a copy here, because I don't know that I retained one 10 or 15 years old myself.
There it is.
All right, the clerk provided it to me, I'll review it tomorrow.
And we'll get her to make you a copy of this letter too.
Very good.
We'll pass it down to the next. Okay, as we continue on, we acknowledge the resignation of Mr. Ray Penley from the Board of Elections. I think the board is working on some more appointments for the Board of Elections. We just want to acknowledge.
No, we got to do it.
Got to fill that position.
They make a recommendation that the appointment of Mr. Abner H. Donnan Jr.
Mr. Don, he works with elections, to be put on the Board of Elections.
But it very well may be, Mr. Chairman, if I can make a comment that the commissioners may not have had time to review the recommendations yet, and they might not want to make that on the spur of the moment. They might want some time to consider that probably they will approve whoever's recommended by the other members, but they might not. And to spur of the moment, pass judgment on their recommendations might be a little bit too much to ask.
Yeah, we got the first July to do it. I think the chairperson, Ms. Andrews, is asking to be reappointed, and also Ms. Cindy Young is asking to be reappointed. So I don't know what their board has done, if their board has completed what they want to do or not. We'll set that aside until.
I believe, Mr. Chairman, that's fairly new local legislation. Just a short while ago, before you came on board, the local law was changed. Previously, the probate judge was in charge of all elections, and we had a special bill passed, and as local bills are affected in Worth County only, passed in the legislature, and it provided for the creation of a board of elections and registrations, and took the jurisdiction totally away from the probate court. Now, that provided for a staggered, the initial appointment of your election, board of elections registration, a staggered appointment, so that some were not all replaced at the same time. And we'll have to go to that bill to see which terms expire, in addition to the Mr. Finley who resigned. But that will be an issue for the board to consider between now and now.
All right.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we just move along with our agenda. Commissioner Gaines.
Mr. Chairman, in an effort to administratively bring the commission and the county back in line with the duties that we're supposed to be doing, we are in the process of doing several different things, and you have the packet before you tonight deals with several issues that HR has done, has researched and has done. And it is our recommendation that we take these packets and look at them. It includes the evaluation of county employees, which we should be doing by mid-June or July. And on an annual basis thereafter. You will also see job description for county clerk, financial director, human resource coordinator, landfill coordinator, and purchasing agent out of the commissioner office. We also have job description from the probate court. But you have a lot of information that we need for you guys to look at, study it, and do modification if necessary. So it can come back and get a final approval, and this can go in the operation manual in terms of the human resource department and dealing with the employees. We still have a lot of job description to come in from other departments that is not completed yet, and then we have the pay scale to be formatted for the board's approval and the constitutional officer approval as well. So that will be forthcoming. This is enough to keep you busy for a week or so.
We appreciate it, Mr. Joe.
Get back to us. Thank you.
Okay, all right. We'll certainly review it, and if there's any changes that need to be made, we'll certainly make those changes on the documents here.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
may I
sir.
make a comment here?
Yes, sir.
I know that there's a good deal of need for uniformity, and with the county commission funneling out the distribution of paychecks and that sort of thing is a convenience for all the departments. But when you start writing up a personnel policy that includes the constitutional officers, you can't dictate the job descriptions of those officers unless they, as a cooperative community effort, agree to them. So if I understood Mr. Gaines correctly, he said you prepared job descriptions for people in the probate court.
Well,
That's
clarification, Mr. Attorney. The probate court have given us her job descriptions.
Thank you, sir. I misunderstood you. That
Including-
clarifies that point.
including tax commissioner, those are duties came directly from the department.
Yes, sir. That would be a cooperative effort, is my point.
Yes, sir.
And, whether you approve them, don't approve them, acknowledge them, or whatever you do, that's up to them to decide. That's the point I want to make clear. I didn't have any veto over.
So noted.
Yeah, we certainly do need to get these job descriptions in because it's very important. Because in talking with one of our insurance carriers, they indicated that we needed job descriptions that covered everyone in the county. Thank you, Mr. Joe. Mr. Matt, you have anything? Okay, all right. Ms. Bozeman?
Mr. Chairman, one thing I got is on Hall Road, Mr. Frank and I met, and I got some questions from Mr. Miller, but I gotta take the file over that one. That's all right.
Okay, all right, thank you, Ms. Bozeman. Billy?
Yes, the only thing I have a citizen that lives in the district I represent, has a lot of health issues. When I use this name, his neighbor happens to be a fellow by the name of Leonard Shaw. Does that ring a bell with any of you on this board back whenever? You must both be aware of it. I called 911 and told them I need to speak to someone from Animal Control. And about 20 minutes later, Miss Shelley McFall called me back and said that she would have them to look into it and someone would get back with me. And that's the last I've heard of that.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can I say something, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Shelley's mother died.
Well, now this has been about 3 weeks ago, hasn't it, sir? About 3 weeks ago.
She's gone to California.
Yeah. But, also, I called over there to the code enforcement and talked to Mr. Ed about it for him to go down. Because what it is, he's just got a lot of terrible buildings, and it seems like he's got enough dogs to supply half of this county and all kind of other things. If it's okay with the board, I'd see if what Sands would like to say a word about it, or what you experience it. Do you want to make a comment about it?
Yes, sir. Start out with, Mr. Shaw came in here 5 years ago was, and got a dog kennel license. And he went to the state first. Then Mr. Meadow came back and recommended that you all vote on it, so he wouldn't get sued. So Mr. Shaw ended up with a dog kennel. In the meantime, Mr. Shaw has overbred and got the kennel too full, and nothing's been able to be done about it. His dogs bark all the time, and they told me I wouldn't hear them, but I can go in my backyard and hear them all the time. And I can't see anything getting done about making him close his dog kennel down or operating it properly or anything. And I don't know if I gotta go to state to get some bite done or what, because I've called out to the dog kennel and I can't get a hold of the people's number in the state about the licensing. So the state can come down and take care of the situation. I understand he's been cited, but I don't know about who. But I'd like to see something done about these dog kennels and Mr. Shaw doing what he would like to do. Then another thing, we got them dilapidated mobile homes. Then he's got a barn up there too falling down. Then he's got used to be a residence of his that he lived in. I don't know if it was checked or condemned or not, but the whole yard, 9 yards, needs to be condemned and got rid of. And one time he fed all the cats in the neighborhood. He told the dog catcher he didn't have but 2 dogs or cats in the house, and they was declawed, which is not quite right statement, because he feeds all the neighbors' cats in the neighborhood. So we gotta know to run them too. So I don't know how you all can handle Mr. Shaw, and he's overrun the dog kennel and everything else. For some reason, he can get by with anything around here, so I don't know what the answers are. I appreciate anything anybody can do.
All right, so thank you, Ms. Reed. Mr. Billy, what did Mr. Parsons tell you?
He told me he would go down there and check into it.
And how long ago was this?
Roughly 3 weeks ago when we first talked, when he first got a hold of my number to speak to me about it.
So Mr. Parsons has not contacted you back concerning this at all?
I just like to know when the buildings and that stuff is gonna have to be removed or something done, so Mr. Shaw does not keep on putting it off and getting time to get it done and everything else, which he will do. He is a very clever operator.
We had, for the board members that are new, Ms. Bowden's aware of it, we had several years back, he got the idea to fence a public road down there and close it, but he found out. So that's the only time we've ever dealt with him and dealt with him like we should have. But this other stuff, I don't know if he seems to work his way around it or what.
Does he have a license for these kennels?
I know, Ms. Bowden, you remember all this, don't you?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, he has a license from the state for a kennel, but it doesn't mean 100 dogs. There is a limit, because we did a site visit down there before it was voted on up here at the board. And he has also a pond there, because we questioned the drainage going into the pond. And I guess he went in and put some cement, didn't you, Mr. Sands? Just to block it off.
One time I noticed my whole block over the fence point. And that was all I did, but that's all I know, that there is rock in there. What else?
But at the same time that we did the site visit, there was 3 buses, a mobile home that was falling down. I mean, as Mr. Sands said, there was a lot of cleaning up that needed to be done down there.
What's this gentleman's name again?
Leonard Shaw.
Shaw, S-A-K-W?
He's, I reckon you might say a person that's into everything. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I may,
sir.
for your guidance, the county and code enforcement can regulate nuisance, not the Department of Agriculture's license for a kennel. That's up to the Department of Agriculture, and if he's violating his license for the kennel, there's nothing we do about that unless it creates a nuisance. Now, if they're falling down buildings and health hazards and such things as may create a nuisance, then our code enforcement can look into that. But the 100 dogs in the kennel or the 10 dogs in the kennel, that's entirely up to the state Department of Agriculture, who is solely in charge of licensing commercial kennels.
Okay.
We can't control that.
All right. Can we contact the Department of Agriculture?
Certainly.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I have Gabriel Black's card. I'll give you the number on it. I'll also give you Agriculture Commissioner's phone number. Gabriel Black, I have his card.
I'll be glad to call the state.
Yes, sir.
Anybody can get a hold of. And sir, I got one more other question. In order to work tree trimming trucks in your property for them to use, is that supposed to be commercial land or farm land or what? What Mr. Shaw has done, he's got all 3 tree trimming trucks and equipment parking in his field now.
That's probably already at Mitchell EMC, yeah, because we don't have tree trimming trucks.
What?
That's probably Mitchell EMC, because we don't have tree trimming trucks.
I know it's some other company, but Mr. Shaw has them all parking in his field now. There's 3 or 4 trucks and big wood choppers and all. They come down and start them up around 7:30 in the morning to see if they run.
Yeah, that might be
I'll
right way
wait
to
going on and make that estimate.
long, how long's it been going on, Mr. Sands? How long have they been parking down there?
About a week.
About a week. Well, this time of the year, they do trim those right-of-ways, those power line right-of-ways. They will be out in our area probably within the next month doing the same thing. I despise them. They come in and burn my trees in the yard, and they have to grow back out, then they're back again to do the same thing in 2 years. So, but that's
I
pretty
mean,
normal.
like, they're using Mr. Shaw's property, so he's getting something somewhere along the line. That man is something else.
I believe I've had pleasure leading that joint.
He came out of West Birmingham.
No, he didn't.
Oh, Lord, I suppose.
It was in such games as kids.
I don't know, I think, you know, Mr. Sutton,
I don't know, nobody's above the law, you know.
I agree.
Well, I tell you, he ran that, was it a House of Prayer or something over here where they got that grant? They gave out food,
He's got a church. I think,
and everybody
down
that
there.
went in there to get food had to be by his religion or they didn't get food.
Mr. Chairman, I have made one closing comment on
Yes,
this
sir.
agenda. That would be the jackass he may be, is not the issue. The issue is whether he's violating the law and we do anything about it.
Sounds like he might be violating the law. We'll get Mr. Parsons in on that and see what's going on. I don't know why he had reported back to Mr.
Well, he don't pay taxes on his property, he's got his house as a church, and there's no people going to it. No congregational.
Now, that might bring on more issues. All right, so thank you, Mr. Sands. We'll
You're
see
quite
if we
welcome.
can- We'll see if we can get you out a little bit.
That's
If I
right.
get Ed back in that area and get a report from him.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say also, I think Mr. Steen, I'm sorry we've had trouble communicating.
Hey,
But,
no
I told
problem.
you one day when I got a little slack, I would come over myself, visit with you and meet with you, and I'll certainly do that. And I know it's difficult for you to come to a meeting, but I certainly appreciate you coming.
I'm gonna be, and we're gonna get here, to tell you. I've had enough aggravation for the last 8 years.
Well, maybe we can give you a little relief.
I
can't
sure
make you a
appreciate it.
promise, but maybe we'll give you a little relief.
It'd be appreciated,
All
thank
right,
you.
sir. Thank you. As we continue on the consent docket, the sheriff's department would like to add it to its inventory, 2 bookshelves, 1 TV cabinet, 1 4-drawer cabinet, and surplus inventory for use in the drug office. And also, the sheriff's department would like 2 right-hand turn desks that were surplus from its inventory last month were removed from the stairwell at the back of the sheriff's office and taken out to surplus inventory storage at Public Works. Sheriff, did, Mr. Nate, was it you that called Felicia, or was it Ms. Kim that called Felicia about contacting Public Works to move those 2 desks?
It's been done, Renee. I did it. I called right after I hung up with you.
Okay, I didn't see you back there, Felicia. Okay, that's been taken care of. Okay, back to the removal of the inventory. Do I have a motion to
Not to
move?
remove it, they want to add it to the drug store.
Add to it, right. Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, have a second. Okay, all in favor? Okay, personnel. On fire rescue, acknowledge 6-month work test complete for Willie Jackson. That's effective date is May the 20th, 13. Justin Cooper, effective date May 26th, 13. On the Board of Commissioners, acknowledge 6-month work test complete on Kim Stripling, effective date 5/19/13. Under Acknowledgements, preliminary budget reviews are ongoing. Next meeting scheduled for May the 20th, which is Monday. Mr. Miller, do you have anything?
A couple of items, Mr. Chairman. The condemnation on the Ephesus Church tract is complete, and as far as the county is concerned, it can go upon it at any time. Another matter, various things come up often all the time, and many times I try to handle them for the departments or the people in them, but recently the Board of Elections and Registrations had a complaint, a grievance filed against our Board of Elections and our primary executive down there, Ms. Sue Potts, about a city election in the city of Warwick a couple of years ago, and criticized her and said that she failed to do her duty, or that our board did. I investigated that, and I think I advised you by letter, Mr. Chairman, of the results of that. And I don't know if you shared that with other commissioners or not, but I wanted to mention that. I have also two pending, two active lawsuits that I would defer to the executive session to discuss later with the commission tonight.
All right, sir.
Under the attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, did you give us a copy of
We gave you already a copy of that.
No, I got some documents last meeting about the lawsuit and Warwick. I haven't signed anything.
Well, the investigation where I took it up was the investigative arm of the State Board of Elections under the supervision of the Secretary of State of Georgia issued a notice, and it included several things about the last city election in the city of Warwick, and it criticized and said that there was preliminary findings where there was sufficient evidence to sanction our Board of Elections and registration. And of course, we took issue with that. And I explained it, I thought, pretty well in my letter to the chairman. But basically what it was and what it is was that voters in the city of Warwick, first of all, they said in the wrong precinct, so there's not one voting precinct in the city of Warwick. And what they have is election districts within that precinct. They all vote the same place. But which ballot you get depends on where you live and which candidate for mayor or council you're entitled to vote for. Well, the very next section of that statute regulating elections and describing the duties of our Board of Elections registration says clearly that any municipality is obligated to furnish maps and districts to our board so that they put the voting areas. They had them in the right precinct because all in the same precinct. But there were 2 or 3 voters out of about 400 registered in the city of Warwick, and 2 or 3 of them were given the wrong ballots. They were given a ballot to vote for Mr. A, and they should have been given a ballot to vote for Mr. B. Well, our Board of Elections and Registrations placed them the very best information they could because the city of Warwick had not furnished them the detailed maps and information where they knew for sure how to put them. So there was no dereliction of duty on the part of our board, of Ms. Sue Potts in particular, that the city of Warwick didn't comply with their section of the law. And they were having a hearing up there on that, and I advised that investigator that we didn't intend to attend the hearing, but that his preliminary investigation was way off base, and we denied any of the suggestions that our Board of Elections registration was off base in any particular. And you might want to share that letter. I think I sent you a copy of it with the.
You did. I was under the impression that I had made a copy, got it out here. Vice Chair. Yes, sir.
I did receive a copy where that you had been notified by Mr. Miller that what was taking place, but other than that, I hadn't received anything further than that.
That's what I got.
Right, that's all I've got to you.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Miller, on that redistrict, this all came about the redistrict. Because I was up there when they were doing that.
Yeah, I understand that.
and
But it
what
was
they
not
did-
this current redistricting, it was the prior year's
Right.
redistricting.
But what they did, instead of them like we do, you know, figure out your districts here and you look at your, means table and see if you got this many here and this many here.
That's in compliance with voting rights law, yes.
Right, they didn't do that.
Right.
They just said, we're gonna do Maple Street, and that's gonna go there, and we're gonna do
But
East
even
Street, and
that-
that's going there.
Even that was inaccurate, because under the present registration system, registration of voters anywhere in the county that our county board of elections is involved in, it is the duty of our elections registration board to place that voter not only in the right precinct, but so that he votes for the proper candidate that his address enables him to vote for. But when they don't furnish our elections board, out of 400 voters, approximately that number in the city of Warwick, and our folks are based on trying their best to guess where they are and put them in the right place. They made every effort to do that, and the city of Warwick simply didn't comply to give us a list of people, where they live and what those council members' districts are, and which address votes for which council member. And they missed 2 or 3. It was a hotly contested election, and I think maybe 3 or 4 or 5 difference in the vote up there. And then everybody and his cousins started filing complaints about the election. And the Secretary of State and their chief investigator called themselves making an investigation, and their preliminary findings were we were at fault. We took issue with that. We investigated to find out what had happened and furnished them the entire information and told them more or less to smoke it. We've done our job, and we did not acknowledge we had failed to do what we were supposed to do, and we didn't intend to go over there and tell the state election board. We were telling him, because he was the investigator, and he was the one that said it should be referred to the election board. So we investigated and informed them of that and told them to go smoke their pipe, more or less.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowman.
Yes, sir. My other report would be an executive session, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
all right, okay. As we continue on, I'd like to make a report on the meeting that was held on May 6th with the GCIC representatives. On May 6, 2013, Commissioner Billy McDonald, Renee Whitby, our county clerk, and I met with Terry Gibbons, Deputy Director of the GCIC, Christina Watts, Assistant Deputy Director, GCIC, Sheriff Hobby, and Kanika Clem, Director at 911. The subject of this meeting was security of GCIC and access to the E911 facilities by the Board of Commissioners. We met for about 90 minutes in the boardroom of the Chamber of Commerce. During this meeting, several issues were discussed and solutions solved. Changes in the management agreement were discussed. One particular section that disturbed me was that section that gives the sheriff oversight of the employees of E911 related to supervision, hiring, and firing of personnel. It was pointed out that the sheriff has no authority over employees of the E911 center. It was suggested that this section of the management agreement be changed to reflect that the sheriff has no supervision over E911 employees. The agreement should include the signature of the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, and a clear understanding of what the agreement entails should be fully explained. No agreement should be signed without full disclosure to the board. Both Ms. Gibbons and Ms. Watts agreed to look at these changes. I suggested that the GBI meet with representatives from ACCG, as they were very concerned about what was taking place here in Worth County. An ACC representative stated that he was unaware of any similar circumstances occurring in any other county in Georgia. Both GBI representatives stated they would arrange a meeting to discuss concerns with ACCG. As of today, ACCG has not been contacted by the GBI. By the end of the meeting, it was agreed that the Board of Commissioners did not have to call the sheriff or E911 director for permission to enter the building or dispatch area. The board members could enter the E911 center and dispatch area with an escort. Members of the board did not have to go through the extensive procedures of awareness forms, fingerprints, background checks, and other security checks discussed by the sheriff at the April 18th meeting. Commissioner McDonald, Ms. Whitby, and I all feel that we accomplished what we were seeking. GCIC security remains intact, and members of the board can visit E911 when we deem it necessary to gather information. As we continue on with our announcements, the Motorola XT626 discontinued its roaming agreement on June 30, 2013. After that date, customers will not be able to use the Southern Link wireless identity phones. ACCG 2013 Summer Session Training, June 6th and 7th in the Legacy Lodge, Lake Lanier Islands. I believe Ms. Whitby and Ms. Joe and myself will be attending that training. The next scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting will be held on Tuesday, June 4th, 2013 at 9 a.m. here in the boardroom. At this time,
Mr. Chairman.
yes, sir.
I got a call from Captain Salters about 5 o'clock this afternoon. You and I talked about some concerns about the fire department, and he told me that Captain Grady would be here tonight, and I see he's back there to answer or to address those. If you want it done to the full board here, or if you want him later on to give you the answers to the things that I met with Captain Salters, let's see, not before last.
You prepared to do it?
I can do whatever y'all need, sir.
Let's do it.
Can I make one address to the work study that you have? You got a work study on 2 employees, Woody Jackson and Justin Cooper.
Right.
There's also 4 other employees that were hired the same day. And I don't know, Woody is on vacation this week, so I guess he can get the paperwork. Is there any way I can get those 4 employees added? Or do I need to do that? You can get paperwork to you in the morning. Okay, I get to you the next meeting.
If we had known ahead of time, we could have amended the agenda.
Yeah.
That's not too long.
We just have to put it down.
That's fine. We get it next time.
Sure.
The problem we have is we're prepared to start the class, and one of the main problems with that, and I guess Captain Salter discussed with Mr. McDonald, Chairman McDonald, Commissioner McDonald, was that we have nowhere to teach the class. Been talking with Bush Jenkins about trying to find somewhere with Board of Education in one of the old schools or somewhere for us to use. Nothing's been found. And Mr. McDonald also spoke with Captain Salter about using the community center. It's sitting under Iowa, it's sitting under stale. We want this class to start, we want to start on time, which is June 10th, or even before. We just need a place to have it. And I think it was the primary issue, correct?
Yeah.
We got the books in, ready to teach it. Of course, we still need the gear, but we can get started without the gear if necessary, but I mean, 3 weeks into it. And I think it's a big issue. You want to get this class started, we're prepared to start it. We just, we need a means to make it happen, and then we need,
If the community center's available, which it seems that it is, we need to get that class started, because we don't need these folks to wonder if we ever gonna get started and start losing. We got 22, is that correct?
yeah, we're at 22 now. I think we maybe picked up a couple more. I
Picked
had
up
one
3 this afternoon.
Yeah, we had a couple come by this afternoon, and I also spoke with Miss Robinson, Rogers on Duran Drive, and she was very concerned. We had a truck fire out there today, and she was very concerned about, doing what she could do, and I expressed her to be in a meeting in Red Rock, and we also had another meeting, and we give her the dates of the meetings, and she said she would have plenty of people there, so.
Why, just a quick question, why didn't units respond from county line?
What they did.
They did.
Agent 1 did respond. Mike Shavot responded from county line.
Yeah.
He got just about on the scene, and they got the fire out, and he said he turned it back, so he did respond.
Is that in his district or that side of
It's actually out of Worthy Manor. It's sort of an overlapping district.
Yeah.
So he's right there with them. They overlap each other within part of a mile.
We need to try to get these trucks in these districts and answer these calls, because if we don't get these trucks in there and get them some points, I mean, it's gonna be.
We're having good response. We had a structure fire out I guess east of Sumner the other night, we had engine 5 respond, engine 8 responded out of Sumner, I think engine 5 responded out of Bowman, engine 12 responded, so we're getting good response.
Yeah, we need to make sure, we need to make sure all those engines on those incident reports, so we can get some credit, so we gotta get this ISO rate down. But anyway, go
So
ahead.
with the availability of the community center, the only problem that we foresee, once we discussion about it, then they'll give us permission to start using there. We'll have equipment stored in there and everything stored, so basically it'll shut down for 8 to 12 weeks until we get through this class. I just want to make sure y'all aware of that, because taking every equipment back and forth is, for training is too much manpower. We have gear and everything stored in there. I think Mr. McDonald said he didn't see a problem with that. We just want to bring them on the board to let y'all know once y'all do give us permission to use this building, for 8 to 12 weeks while we're in the process of using this building, that it would pretty much be shut down.
Mr. Chairman, we need to check the schedule now, see if what's been rented out here before they go in and get started.
Well,
And we're still looking, projected date of June 10th. We could start it earlier if we get this gear that we talked about the other day. So,
Yeah, I gotta get back my contact, be sure that they can bring that gear in, it's about my
discussion about it, but then
$58,000 worth of bonded gear. That's 32 sets. We may have to buy some helmets and some other odds and ends, so. Yes, sir, Ms. Bill.
To one of the concerns of the board was about the training and why hadn't it started, when it was gonna get started. And I was assured on behalf of Captain Saunders and the other 2 captains, we find a place, say when they're ready to go. And the only thing, and I asked them to check out, they went to the governmental building to see if there was any poor down there at the hospital. That wouldn't work, nothing worked out through the Board of Education.
Board of Education, they had a classroom on the very end of the new Board of Education, the very end of the wing. We talked to them about using that classroom, and we had a little bit of discussion about it, but then they sort of backed out on us, and they figured we'd be planning in their offices. They have each individual classroom is set up in one office. So the classroom that holds 40 students is set up in one office instead of partitioning it up. So they have that whole, every room in that school is in an office instead of one.
But it will be up to the board if they make the decision for them to use the governmental building. And as Ms. Bowden stated first, we need to check and see if it's been rented out. Because once we have made that obligation, but if it hadn't, we would just have to reserve it for that length of time so we could get through with, get trained through and over with. The amount of equipment and so forth that will be involved in the training would be almost an impossible thing to transport it back and forth each day and each night or whenever the training was. And let's see, there was one other. Okay, all right. That's the main thing was about this training and getting it started and where we're going to do that.
Yes, sir.
Two, we need to emphasize that to get the community center, we need to make sure that equipment is secure out there, and that nobody gets in there and takes it.
And that was the main reason we'd say we wouldn't need, we might could put it in one room here, but it wouldn't be in the lock and key. So I wouldn't feel secure leaving $100,000 worth of equipment laying there for people to come in and have a party.
Right.
So,
I think one of the other questions that we had was, I had checked on certifications for our training people. And I checked Brian Alden. That young man has a lot of training. But I did not find any training certificates at all in Tom.
I have got every one of my kids. He's got just meeting number.
It needs to be his personnel file up here.
We also have Robert Challenge, who's a certified instructor. We have Willie Jackson, who's a certified instructor. We have Ray Salter, certified instructor, and there's one other, I believe. So,
We just need, we just need it on record in case the question ever comes up, that there might be a question of them not having certifications that we can't.
We dot our i's and cross our t's. Just about the 6th or 7th class, I think I counted, we've taught over 300 people in the last 10 years in the house. Out of those 300 people, probably 200 work.
But they'll get those copies of it, so we put in that personnel files, it would save some questions.
Sure do.
Okay.
Inquiry, Mr. Chairman, did you investigate the possible use of the old Holly School as a place to have your training?
We looked at it, they are condemning that school, and somebody's in the process of trying to find it.
Well, they're not condemning it, it's still in the Board of Education control, still insured by the Board of Education.
I talked to Mr. Oliver, we just got laid on board, and he was supposed to be talking to them about that, and he came back and said there was no way they were in the process of trying to, they just condemned it for school purposes and trying to move it to something else.
No, it's not condemned, just declared it's not necessary for school purposes.
Maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah, that's like putting
His word may be different.
inactive list, but Mr. Oliver doesn't speak for that. You can go to the superintendent or the chairman. I don't know that it's suitable, but I just know it's a very big building.
I
It's
talked
not
to
being used.
Mr. Jenkins myself, and I had talked to the
And
superintendent.
Mr. Jenkins didn't like the idea.
They didn't like that. I mean, he said he would look and he would see, and he never got back with us. We talked to him 2 or 3 times. Because every time we mentioned it to them, they sort of back away from it.
There was a
Well, it hadn't been brought up at an official meeting, I can tell you that. So maybe if you think it would meet your needs and it's a conflict with the community center, could go to a meeting and get on the agenda and ask for it.
And
Talking to a
that'll be our
private.
next option if we don't get this.
But there's a section of that school, you remember, that burned.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Over in Holly School.
Well, they don't have to use the whole school, man, that's the thing, I got 1,000 students.
Because we got the Board of Education gave us those blackboards and our whiteboards. From over there.
I'm not suggesting it's suitable, I don't know what their needs are, but I know it's a very big building that's available.
I don't even have electricity turned on other than that, do
They certainly have been using the old gym,
they?
I know that.
Now, the gym is different from the school over there.
When you say it's different, it's not different in the Board of Education owns it all.
I agree with that, Mr. Miller, but also, the soccer something over there is the one that's doing that gym right over there.
When you say the soccer's doing that gym, that doesn't mean anything. I mean,
It's a corporation that's doing it, but they have fundraisers.
well, they may have fundraising, maybe a corporation, that didn't change it from being under control of the school board. But it may not be. If you had a conflict, it's just worth investigating on this occasion.
If we have a problem with the community center, I will try to go before we talk to the board.
Yeah, talk with Chairman Jenkins and see if we'll get something worked out, get on the agenda and talk to them about it and see if they have some place. If Holly School's not an acceptable place, maybe they have another location you can use.
I think that was one of the main concerns was the electricity and all, they said the bat done and everything was out there, just wasn't certain. They didn't feel safe about anybody being in, was what I was told.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question for the board. When they were in here and we were working on their budget, they had 22 people signed up and only 20 books. So we got a possibility of 3 to 5 more coming in now. So what are we gonna do about books here?
We'll have to order some more. Y'all have any books other than those when you get we order?
There's a new brand new edition this year.
I said buy a big one, borrow already.
No way, Chairman, they could copy them books out somewhere and.
Copyright, there's a copyright issue, and that book's probably, that book's about 600 pages.
We saw it, we didn't. Can't afford you a book.
I mean, we shouldn't be, asking volunteers for that, got
That's right.
Well, we had them, I mean, we just ordered the books, we got them in last week, matter of fact. We ordered 20, because we had 18 signed up. And now since then, we've had 5 more signed up, so.
Yeah, like I said before, we need this, volunteer, we need that moving on. While we got enthusiasm out there, once that goes down, then we're gonna have to crank it all back up.
I'm expecting a little bit more after we still got 4 or 5 more such stations.
We got Sumner that's coming up Monday, and we got Scoopville and Doles and,
Sumner's this bad, Summer is coming up Monday? Yes, I'm sure.
Story was Monday night, I think, wasn't it?
get
I
the
think I
majority.
looked on my list, didn't I?
Didn't have anybody show up out there. But,
So what are we gonna do about it?
I don't think someone knew anything about it.
Sir?
I don't think someone knew anything about it.
It's coming up. Joel hadn't heard anything about it. It's coming up this month. It's coming right. It's coming by next month. 7.
Let's not do about it.
How long does it take to get these books in?
I think the last one we got in within a week and a half.
How much it pays?
Close to $100 a piece, I think they paid $100 a piece.
50 something.
Was it 50 something?
52 or something.
First price we got was 80 something, so I think they done.
But he found a place that can get them for 52, I think.
We'll be glad to order 50 more.
I know it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm reviewing the schedule for the community center. We do have one tentative for July 23rd, and that's the bus shop for the school system. We put that request in.
Is that a weekend?
Meetings ago. No, that's actually on Tuesday.
July 23rd. What else you got?
That's it.
Close.
So that's for the next 6 months?
Well, not in the next 6 months, but at least the next 3 months. He said 8 to 12 weeks, right?
You're not gonna need it on Saturday, are you?
Most of the time Saturday will be outside. There will be one Saturday a month, and they will be doing some class that's only one Saturday a month. I think it's 2 days a week, one Saturday a month is actually what the students are leaning toward it.
We just have to work it out, and there's some way.
But that's the only thing we may have. We may move stuff up one time.
That's the only thing I have something.
Most of it comes in probably on the weekend, that maybe majority.
But I still got about 3 weeks before that starts, so I can still get on the agenda for the board ahead. Talk with them. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we can have Captain give a raise since he's the budget guru down there. See if he can find a few more dollars to get some more books.
I'm gonna tell you what, I got my budget report, and I went to screenshot it, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's fine, we got it." I was okay.
Maybe you got a print press we don't know about.
He's good on it.
How many more books you think we're gonna need? 10 more? Give us 30.
Yeah, we don't need many. I mean, we get too big of a class, and you don't have that learning ability. So normally I wouldn't take up 25 in a class before I try to start a second class. Or try to start a dual class and going in line with this one. Maybe one on Monday, Thursday, and one on Tuesday and Friday or something.
Yeah.
Would be my next option before I got too many in one class. Because they just don't learn, and you don't catch them at 25.
Probably, unfortunately, we get these people coming in here because we got 4 more stations we gotta go to. We don't know what the enthusiasm rate's gonna be. We may get 10 more, we may get 15 more, we may not get any more. But, Ms. Bozeman just said that was 3, that's 25 right there.
But see, they didn't show up for the worthy manor rate, and when they get ready to get involved, is when they have the fire out there at us.
Well, it takes a fire like that to let people know just what we need in an area. And people, I think, kind of take it for granted that you guys are the ones that's gonna answer the call, and they don't realize it takes you 20 minutes to drive from headquarters.
That was her
to
exact
Durham
words.
Road.
Her exact words were, "We can't wait 30 minutes on the fire truck." And I told her, I said, "Well, it was actually 14 minutes." I said, "But you're right, 14 minutes is too long." Most of those structures out there are mobile home structures, and the mobile home structure is supposed to be fully engulfed within 5 minutes. So,
That trucks, I don't know how many it was fully engulfed, and that time the alarm went out.
it was engulfed when they called, but she asked, what could she do? And I said, what you can do is get all the people you can get. Show up to these meetings, and if they can't do anything to drive a truck, at least they can get a truck there for us.
That's right. People don't realize just how important it is to get these ISO ratings down. I was in Cairo yesterday, talked to the fire chief, and finally, I've been asking him how many he thinks he needs. He don't want to go from 25, but we get.
Well, we thought 20 was gonna be enough.
I did too.
So, y'all tell me what to order, and y'all vote on it, and I'll order.
If you order 20, that's $1,000. Make it look better with
I'll
that.
tell me how many to order, and then, I mean, I can order them, and I order
I
them.
think you ought to order clean,
What more?
if you gonna keep the classes going.
Right. I agree. Mr. Muggs?
I think we have some money in, some grant funds for the fire department that we can use for books.
We're no different from the federal government of the state of Georgia, they all run too, so
But I think there is some grant money there.
sometimes they work.
I can't remember how much.
I say, let's go for it.
Okay, somebody wanna
I make a
motion?
motion, we order 20
Okay.
probably 20.
All in favor?
Y'all wanna vote on anything else for us while I'm up here?
Like work budget? Go sit down.
Oh, living race. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, Deputy Ray. Sheriff, you wanna make comments?
So we need to vote on that community center.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's right. Do
I'll
we,
make a motion to that.
Okay,
They use the
that's
community
second.
center for training, and we can't get them.
okay, okay, all in favor? Okay.
The road manager.
Keep rolling.
Oh, you doing good, doing good, you do some too.
I'm ready to stand back up, y'all got something else?
No, but you stand back up, you're gonna spend more money. But we ain't got it.
And Captain Salter also said it would be very needful if the turnout gear, you know,
Yeah.
it maybe get there soon.
I ain't going that right.
That they need that part of the training, so we just have to put it all together. It's gonna happen right quick.
Well, I
You
got
said
30
there was some-
I got 32 sets. I just get,
Been problems.
New Jersey.
yeah,
Haven't heard anything since when.
I talked to the guy day before yesterday.
Still a problem.
Firehouse Subs just gave some great.
We put in for that grant too.
Just talking about the gear down there.
We put in for that grant too.
Just one of them.
Like I said, it's pretty complete, I think.
We did get some good news on, one of the grants, the personnel grant we put in for. We got called back for a review, and a committee got asked to be on the committee for it, so that's a good sign that we may be getting something.
Good, good. You got different yet. Really good, really good. Sheriff, did you want to say some words?
It won't do no good.
Do I?
It won't do no good.
No good. Ms. Deborah, did you want to make, okay, all right.
Thank you.
Ms. Bonet.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I had to look back there, our former sheriff was 28 years and the deputy for almost half that long. At our meeting tonight, he lives in the district I represent. I'm glad, appreciate him coming to the meeting. Do you have anything you need to?
I didn't know I was at y'all's meeting tonight. The reason I'm here is I got a call, Florida. They told me to make sure I'm here. Monitoring them tonight, making sure everything's going good.
Just cutting out.
We're glad to have you. Now, that's your prime volunteer right there for Scooterville.
Well, I'll tell you, I think what we're seeing earlier on, you know, part of the people thought we were going to a paid fire department because one of the candidates was putting that out strong, be no cost to the taxpayers and so forth and so on. And then I think the people are getting to realize, yes, it is, if we did go to that, it'd be a tremendous cost, far more than what your insurance is going to. And I have seen a change in heart. I had a fellow call me just last night, and he gave me an illustration of events that had took place down in Anderson City, almost dark yesterday afternoon, and he said just such stuff as that, between you volunteers and maybe y'all don't need to look into that, and we will talk about that.
You talking about that pine straw trailer?
Yeah, pine straw trailer.
Okay, we have a motion to go into executive session. Now your second.
Second.
All in favor? Second? All in favor? We are adjourned.